I pray you are all keeping well. Welcome to the Golden Gables Luncheon. My name is Joe Monica. I'm the president here at Hesston College, and it really is my honor to welcome you here today. Shall we open our time with a word of prayer? Creator God, we come to you today with grateful hearts. Lord, I thank you again for this college, Hesston College. Lord, I thank you for the way it has transformed so many lives here over the years. Lord, we thank you for your spirit that has been part of this campus and continues to be part of this campus. Lord, I thank you for the current students who are here and the many ways that you're moving in their lives and transforming them toward your goodness. Be with us, Lord, today. May the things that we do and say around this table, Lord, be uplifting to you in your kingdom. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So this afternoon, I'd like to just offer some very quick updates on the Hesston College of today, and then turn it over to my colleagues here who are going to provide some other updates as well. But as you know, Hesston College today is not quite the same vessel that it was when you all were students here. And I talk about Hesston College as a vessel as opposed to our mission, vision, and values. Throughout the decades, we have remained, in many ways, committed to the same mission. But the vessel that carries this mission forward has evolved, right, over the decades. Hesston College of the 1920s was not the Hesston College of the 1950s, which was not the Hesston College of the 1970s, or the 90s, or even of 2000. And the Hesston College of today has also changed and continues to change and morph. And one of those large transformations is our bachelor degree programs, or four-year programs, that students are actually hungry for. And I just want to give you some very quick highlights on those 4 degree programs and really part of the why behind it. So several years ago, as we looked across to say, what are students looking for when they come out of high school? What we found is that students were more interested in 4-year professional degree programs than the 2-year Associate of Arts programs that we're looking for. So high school students were looking for this type of program. And number 2, we also asked, what are the programs out there that give our graduates strong job opportunities? Strong meaning upon graduation you can find work in your field. Number 2, jobs that provide a strong income that can support their families, their communities, their churches. And number 3, programs, degrees that fit within our values. So out of this we started first of all with our nursing program, a BSN program. And this past year, you know, I usually have no problems bragging on this about our nursing program. I believe it's right around 93% of our graduates this last spring passed their NCLEX exam on their first try. Yes, absolutely. And when you look at the national databases, that's an extremely high number. And I would give the credit to our faculty there, who have loved on our students as they teach them, right? But the other stat is over the last 3 years, we've had a 100% pass rate among all of our graduates. And that also speaks to the strength of our faculty and our curriculum and how our faculty go about teaching in our nursing program. The second program is our engineering program, which got launched this past year. So we're about a year into that, and we're continuing to grow that. Part of that has been the transformation of the Friesen Center. The Friesen Center was our art building, Friesen Art Center. We transformed that building, repurposed it into our new engineering building. And I really want to encourage you, if you have time this weekend, to walk into the Friesen Center and to look at the new classrooms we have out there, the engineering classrooms that we have out there. And the art program that was there is now getting moved over to the Laban Peachy Center, where we'll have a new house of its own, and renovations are starting on that. We're hoping by January the renovation will be done, and that program will be fully there and up and running. But the Laban Peachy Center is also welcoming another new member to that building, and that's our aviation classroom. Our aviation program moved to a 4-year program about 3 years ago now. And so we offer a bachelor's degree in aviation as well. And as some of you may know, the aviation program was started by our former president, Laban Peachy. And Laban and his family and their estate last year provided an incredible gift for us, which we used to purchase new equipment. So if you had a chance to go out to the airport, to our hangar out there, you'll see one of our new planes out there in our color. And that's a gift that continues to give to us from Laban Peachy and his family for the new aviation program. And that program continues to thrive. Right now we're looking at new partnerships, not only in the industry, but with other academic institutions who are hungry for aviation programs that they can't start themselves. And finally, I want to mention to you our business management program. So this last spring, we graduated our first cohort in the business management degree, 7 students. And it's been a phenomenal program where the theme of that program is entrepreneurship for the greater good. And what we mean by that is really we want to be graduating students who are going to go into the marketplace to make a difference for the greater good. There's nothing wrong with making money. That's not what we're saying here. But can we see ourselves as receiving resources for the greater good and to be able to share that with our larger community in which we live? And those are the types of entrepreneurs we want to be graduating from our program. And so I'm very excited about these programs. We're going to continue to build on these programs. We're about to lay out the next part of Vision 2025, how we're going to continue to push these 4-degree programs out in the schools in which they sit. So keep your ears open for that, for some of the things that are going to be coming up in these next few months. I want to close out this morning by reminding you of our theme verse. Our theme verse this year comes from Luke chapter 4, verses 18 to 19. And if you would like, I've got a little sticker here. Ken's got it up there on board. And our theme verse this year is driving us towards this point of we can because Christ is. We can because Christ is. We are and will always be a Christ-centered community. And because of Christ, we can do all things. And in the name of Christ, we can do all things. In closing, I want to invite you to continue to keep Hesston College in your prayers. Pray for our students, pray for our faculty, pray for our staff, our administrators, our board. Pray for wisdom, pray for strength, that we can continue to serve our students, and as our students get prepared to go into the world to serve Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for coming out today. If you'd like to get one of these stickers, I've got a stack of them. Feel free to look me up when we're done this afternoon. I'd be happy to pass this out to you, but please share the good news. Thank you so much for coming out. God bless you.
Alumni here, and so I have the honor of getting to plan this weekend, so I hope you enjoy it. But today I get the fun part of getting to recognize some of our class reunions that are here and also some of the other people who have attended. So first I want to recognize, we have 2 people who registered for homecoming, and I don't know if I see them here, from the Academy class of 51, which are our oldest alumni that are coming back for homecoming. And that's Boots S. Raber and Esther Harold Kaufman. You're here.
Esther's here.
Esther's here, okay. So yes, please wave. And then we also have 2 present from College of 55, Peter and Marilyn Troyer Hartman. Are you here? And we also want to recognize our College 73, which would be our 50th class reunion. If you're here for your 50th reunion, please wave so people can see you. We have a College 63 reunion going on this year. I think he's back there, yes. And Academy 63, we have some from Academy 63 here today. Academy 59, it looks like we have a table up here. And we also want to recognize our Academy 53, which would be Gladys Kaufman-Reimer and Lauren Sutton, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it at the end here, but he was hoping to be here. So thank you guys all for coming out and enjoying this weekend. We have 23 states represented and 2 countries here at Homecoming, so it is nice to see all of these people coming back for the weekend. If you have a class reunion that ends in 8, you will actually get to have a 5-year virtual reunion in February. And so we started doing that during COVID, and it's something that's kind of stuck because people said it was just nice to be able to meet without having to travel back every year, and so they could meet no matter where they were at, and we even had some international students who were able to come back from reunion, so be on the lookout for that. And now we want to introduce Mark Diller from Everence. Mark's wife works here in our nursing department, and his son is also a student here, but he's going to talk to you a little bit about Everence and why they're one of our preferred partners here at Hesston.
Thank you, Jen. It's an honor to be here with you today. As Jen said, my name is Mark Diller. I'm the Regional Director for Everence Financial, and our office is in North Newton. We exist to help people integrate their faith and their finances to accomplish their stewardship goals. And as I look out at you, at this group that's here today, you're a group of people who have been faithful to Hesston College, and just want to recognize that and share appreciation. We're here to help you support Hesston College. So if you have any questions, I have a table out in the lobby there. I'd be happy to visit with you about any questions you might not have or might have. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Program for today. So we have Ken Rodgers, who's an 85 graduate, who's going to be talking to you about the history of music here at Hesston College. Over Homecoming this year, we have the honor of celebrating 40 years of bel canto, and so I thought this would tie in really well. So he will be able to share some of what music has looked like here at Hesston over the years. So thank you, Ken.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you. And to talk a little bit about the history of music at Hesston College and some of the themes that we've had over the years, and then talking a little bit at the end just kind of about what music at Hesston College is today, and some of the changes, challenges, and exciting things that are going on relating to music here at Hesston College. Special thanks go to John Sharp and his excellent centennial history of Hesston College, a school on the prairie. And so that was in 2009, 2010. It's amazing to think that that's getting on to almost 15 years ago that we celebrated our centennial. But that's an excellent read. I was going back through that again, and just it's an engaging history of Hesston College. So if you've not read that, or you don't have a copy, go to the bookstore, and I'm sure it would be, you can purchase a copy of it. And it's just very, very interesting. And the other person is Dr. Matthew Sloniger, who is a Hesston alum and former faculty member here. And when he was doing his doctoral work at the University of Kansas, he did a lot of work related to music at Hesston College, and especially the fact that Hesston College used to perform works like Handel's Messiah a cappella. And what that looked like and why we did that and things like that. So I'll mention a little bit of that here in this presentation, but some of these slides are from some of the work that he did with that. Since its beginning, Hesston College has placed a special emphasis on the role of music to educate and edify students, build community, and minister to the broader church. My talk today will highlight this, but also comment on the many ways that that role has changed over the decades, both in context and in content. From the very first semester, choirs, quartets, and various other ensembles were part of the curriculum and culture of Hesston Academy and Bible School. The first special Bible term in January of 1910, included this blurb. You could visit various classes and, quote, a thorough drill in vocal music, unquote. So, yeah, I guess not what a thorough drill in vocal music is, but it sounds very exciting to me. One of the early music teachers said from, quote, there's a special demand for the promulgation of good vocal music, seeing that musical instruments are not only supplementing it, but virtually threatening to supplant the creator's highest mechanism of music, the human voice. It's from Paul Erb, one of the earliest choir directors. So basically kind of saying that we have to be careful when we have musical instruments in a lot of our homes. There are musical instruments now, and they might come into the church. And it's really important that we maintain just choirs, vocal music, choral music, congregational singing, because that's part of identity as a community. It's something that we do together. And when we have other musical instruments coming in, it can be a problem. Here we have the Oratorio Chorus from 1919, which is the year that the administration building was finished. From the beginning, there were not only choirs, but any variety of different kinds of ensembles, from trios to quartets, mixed quartets, women's trios, men's quartets, men's choruses and women's choruses, just any variety of things you could think of. It can be found kind of in the history of this early time period, the 1920s and 1930s. Beginning again from about 1913, Hesston College began to have concerts of larger choral works. In May 1920, the Hesston College newspaper, The Journal, was reporting great things ahead of the decade-old music department programming. It said, quote, "The Messiah will be rendered for the first time by the college chorus." The Journal reported, "We believe we are safe in saying that the chorus is in better position to render this important composition this year than any it has ever been given before." A large number of students and faculty members had prepared for the event by traveling to nearby Bethany College, Lutheran institution in Lindsborg, Kansas, on Easter weekend to hear a live performance of Messiah with full orchestra. And Bethany had been performing Messiah annually since 1881, and they continue to do that. It used to be every Easter, Palm Sunday and Easter, and then on Good Friday they would perform the Bach St. Matthew Passion, and they continue to do that to this day, 140, almost 145 years later. But in 1920 was the first time that we had it here at Hesston College. And here you have Arthur Slagle and the chorus getting ready to perform Messiah. Now, how do you perform a work like Handel's Messiah without any instruments? You just perform it a cappella. Next. This is the college in 1920. You know, it does look somewhat different today. A lot more trees, There we go. There's the college chorus in 1929. And the next slide. So these are some of the works that were performed at different times during the early years of the college. One very popular one was called David the Shepherd Boy by George F. Root, who was an early American, or kind of 19th century American composer. And it worked fairly well a cappella. It was not a work that there was accompaniment with it, but it worked quite well a cappella. Have any of you heard or sung David the Shepherd Boy? Yes, okay. I know it was done not that long ago, well, not that long ago, 40 years ago, in Oregon. I know that there was a performance that was done out in the state of Oregon by some folks there. It was one that was performed quite often, as you can see here, as well at Eastern Mennonite College at the time in Virginia. And then you have The Holy City by Alfred Gall. And that became a central core piece that was started here by being performed by Chester Lehman, who then took that to Eastern Mennonite College when he became a faculty member there. And the tradition actually outlived the tradition at Hesston College. At Hesston College, it used to be performed annually at commencement. And that was a tradition that happened at Eastern Mennonite College as well into the 1960s. And again, performing a cappella. So when you perform a large choral work with, like Messiah, without any instruments, you just sing the choral parts. And when there are times where there's an instrumental interlude, you just cut that out. Take a rest, a little bit of a rest, and move on. There actually survives a recording of the last a cappella rendition of The Holy City that Eastern Mennonite University put out in a CD form about 10 years ago, and I think it's still available if you're interested in that. And so you can hear what Gall's The Holy City sounded like a cappella, and it also includes the Hallelujah Chorus a cappella, and The Heavens Are Telling from Haydn's Creation a cappella, and things like that. I visited with my uncle and aunt, Howard and Martha Hirschberger, who are both no longer living, but they remembered singing solos from Messiah, just a cappella. Every valley shall be exalted. Maybe it works. But that's what happened. You just, I suppose you didn't miss it. Then there are a number of works I've never even heard of before. One is called Bethlehem, apparently by an anonymous composer, because it's not listed there. And one called Faith Triumphant, or The Healing of Naaman, by Henry Butterworth and George F. Root. George F. Root was a very popular composer at the time. Paul Urban, 1930, says this: written deep into the spirit of Hesston College is the motto, what is a college without music? While it would be too much to say that the study of music is a leading feature of the school, it is not too much to say that singing is considered an indispensable part of school life. For everybody sings. When some forlorn exception insists that he can't carry a tune, we don't believe him. If we can't teach him to carry a tune, we can at least teach him to get rid of it. Although, without exception, students elect the courtesy in the elements of music, and a majority get into one of the singing organizations, either by coming in there through the door, or by climbing up some other way. Chapel, prayer, literary societies, and YPCA extension work often offer constant means of practice and improvement. So that's one of the ways that they were working with it. I love that idea that the singers come in either through the door or climbing in some other way. Which I think there's a story behind that that I'm not aware of. If you have any stories of sneaking into the choir through a side window, please let me know. I'd love to hear that. Good. How many of you remember the top floor of the administration building as an auditorium? Okay, this group up here. Very good. I'm told that if you go above the ceiling tiles, you can still see some stenciling from the old chapel building up there. Good. Singing. So eventually, by the 1940s, the choirs began to grow. Here is the Holy City Chorus. Again, probably a commencement time, probably in about 1950. So beginning in 1923, there were 34 consecutive commencement performances through 1956 of the Holy City by Paul. 27 consecutive years of a cappella performances, and then the last few years with piano accompaniment. And here we have, again, that same picture. How many of you sang the Holy City? Again, raise your hand. Yeah, a number of you. Good. Or remember hearing it. That's probably more. Okay, good. Nice. This is kind of a picture of the folk band. It's a work that runs about 45 minutes. I actually conducted a performance of it as a fresh out of college student. We combined the Whitestone Mennonite Church and Hesston Mennonite Church choirs to perform the Holy City, and with accompaniment. And so I got to know the work that way. I'd never heard it before. I did not fall in love with the piece, but people seem to enjoy it. So I think there's a good reason why it's not performed anymore. It's a lovely work, and if it's a heart song for you, that's wonderful. I'd love you to be able to listen to that on your own. Here's the final a cappella choir, 1949, and then the next picture shows you what happened in November of 1949. This is John Dirksen acquiring the first piano to be on the Hesston College campus. A.L. Hess gave land for Hesston College and Bible School, Bible Academy, with the stipulation that there would never be musical instruments on the campus. Well, times changed. You know, I'm reminded of, and those were different times, I'm reminded of Bill Mason, former business prof here, and worked in admissions, a variety of things. One of my favorite quotes of Bill is, if someone says, if you don't do this, I'm out of here. He always said the correct response is, how may we help you pack? Because they're already gone. Which I think is kind of true. But the reality was, by the early 1940s and into the mid-1940s, there were music theory classes happening off campus in a professor's home, so that they had a piano there and you could do some of your music theory testing and things with a piano. And people had pianos in their homes and things like that. So in 1949, we have this piano, a Steinway piano. It was not a new piano. It was a baby grand, but it was 20 years old already when it was purchased. By the time the year 2007 came around, we began to take an inventory of all the pianos on campus. And one of our concerns was, which are the instruments that are just so bad they need to find another home somewhere, or a church basement, which is where all pianos go to die. Or are there ones that we should restore, and what are our needs related to that? So we were going around, and there was this baby grand Steinway in a very bad practice room that was in really bad condition. And the person who was kind of working with us in looking at taking inventory of the instruments and whether they were worth restoring, looked up the serial number, Steinway O, and realized that it was made in the fall of 1908 or spring of 1909. And all of us in the room, there were about 4 of us in the room, we all went, like, oh, this is the original piano, and it's a centennial piano. And so, through a nice connection with Woody Miller, his brother-in-law Tom Zazadkin from Iowa, who works with the Steinway Company, a fabulous restorer, came and restored it into pristine condition. And we were able to feature that if you were here for the centennial celebrations as our centennial grand piano. And it is still used every day in the Keim Center in our choral rehearsal room. So if you'd like to go see the 1909 Steinway that is featured here, it is still in wonderful use and almost pristine condition. And then starting in 1950, we have the Holy City here with the piano off to the side. In 1954. Another change is that as people had instruments in their home, gradually instruments came into Mennonite churches. I should say as old Mennonite churches, General Conference Mennonite churches, had them for a long time, as long as their denomination existed, dating back to instruments in the Netherlands. And here we have a picture of the sanctuary in which we are seated right now, and we're facing in that direction. That's the direction where I would be. This is actually a pretty good example. I'm standing right here in the building, and then the next one is about 1966 or 7 probably, and there's a pipe organ at that end. So a lot of changes happening in the 1960s as things are changing. So what are some of the things that are continuing to be the same? One of the things is that of touring. Early tours included sending out small groups to area churches and including all across the US and Canada. There was a men's quartet in the 1940s that spent the entire summer traveling the western US and Canada, giving, I think, almost 100 programs during the space of the summer. Every evening they would go to different congregations and give a program. I talked to another alum who I don't believe is living anymore. She talked about how they took a choir tour. They went to Harbor, Kansas, which is about an hour south of Wichita. And the way they got there was in the back of a farm truck where they had put benches so you could sit in the back. And they went in a farm truck down to Harbor to give a program. And then came back, and that was very exciting, which I can imagine. There was a time in the 60s when everyone wore robes, choir robes, and that lasted into the early 1970s. So there was chamber choir, a cappella choir. They came through a variety of different, and of course, up until the time the academy closed, there were high school choirs as well. Let's go to the next one. Here's 1970. There was a number of groups that were sponsored by Hesston College and the music department, and then there were groups like Bible teams that would go out over spring break or other breaks and give programs throughout the U.S. Were any of you part of Bible teams? Yeah, John Miller in the back. Yeah. And so they would be a small group of students, and they might have a faculty advisor, and they would present programs, and they would go on a tour. But choirs began to tour during spring break, fall break, a variety of different times. There was also, my guess is this may very well be the Agape Singers, a group in the early 1970s that did more contemporary music. And I remember hearing the Agape Singers as a child. There was also the Bells and the Bows, which is Belles, the Bells, and Bows, Beaus. Okay, isn't that cute? They're a special group, and I know Phil and Vicki Hoffman were part of that group. Any others that are here from part of the Bells and the Bows? And so there were always a variety of different types of choirs whose purpose was perhaps just a little bit different in the focus of music and the type of music that they did. Concert choir and chamber choir. Of course, now we travel in a bus, and from the 1950s, late 1950s on, really, I think there have been basically 3 main bus drivers the entire time. I was going to ask Phil or Vicki, what was the name of the bus driver that you... Orville Ressler, who drove for Winfield Bus Company, and for many, maybe decades, I don't know how long, drove Hesston College choirs on the tour. Another one who drove for many, many years was Bill Swartley. Bill Swartley drove choirs as his kids were young, and eventually then all 3 of his children sang in Hesston College choirs, and when the youngest Andre graduated, he said, "I've done it, I've done enough." And since then, on almost all of our tours since the mid-1990s, the man on the right, Alvin Horn, has been our bus driver. And he loves it. And I tell you what, he knows more Mennonite churches than most of you do. And it's so fun because he can say, he'll have someone come out and he'll say, "Oh, wait, is this person your brother or your sister?" Or, you know, kind of stuff. I mean, he knows the connection. He has an phenomenal memory of faces and names and people. And Alvin is a real treasure. And he's going to be here tomorrow afternoon, kind of for a special presentation of being our driver. He was our driver this past summer on Bel Canto Tour. So there are also some of the other changes. So from no instruments singing a cappella to having instruments, we have had various times when we've had very phenomenal brass groups in the early 1970s, some string groups. In the 2000s, we worked at trying to get a concert band going, and pep band, and an orchestra. With a 2-year degree program and a smaller campus, it's just tough to get those kinds of groups sustained and to maintain them. And so we have focused our resources in other ways recently. We now have the Bel Canto Singers, which started in the fall of 1983 when I was a first-year student. Ron Kilmer, he may not be here today, right now. He was also in that first group. And so there was the chorale and the Bel Canto Singers. And so we had those choirs. And back in those days, the tenors and basses wore suits and ties, and the sopranos and altos wore dresses. This is a good example of kind of an aquatine dress. There were roses. These were quite often, these were actually ordered en masse from Avon. And occasionally, I remember one year we got a bunch of red dresses in, and half of them obviously came from a different dye, even though they were the same dress, but the color was just a little off, and we had to send them back, see if we could get the same dye. At the end of, when students graduated, sometimes the choir tour ended in Europe, and it was their last time. I remember a group of students, women, took their dresses after the last tour, got together in a room, cut them up into tiny pieces, and burned them. But we continue to tour. Some of the things that continue to be the same are the tours. This is a bel canto at Carnegie Hall, including a few alumni about 12 years ago. Since 1980, we've toured internationally. There was in the 1970s, there was a choir tour that went to Brazil for the Mennonite World Conference. And how many of you were involved in that? Yeah, Phil and Vicki are the resident history of all that. And since 1980, every 2 years, there's been a tour to Europe. I thought it was 82, but I talked to a gentleman on Wednesday who said, one of my favorite memories was going with the Hesston Choir to Europe in 1980 on the first tour. So I had to recalculate things a little bit. And I remember John Sharp's horror when he was writing the Centennial History and realizing that there could be a pretty good case that Hesston College was founded in 1908, which shaved a year off of the prep time for getting the Centennial going. Sometimes it's okay just to go with the collective memory. We'll say it's somewhere in that range. But this is an example. This is in Germany, a choir that has gone there. And this is a little bit later group in the town of Yalra in the Netherlands, which has hosted Hesston College groups every year since 2084. And so this is actually, this next summer will be the 20th time that we have gone there and they've hosted us. We've had our challenges. Here we are performing outdoors in this, on a very blustery May day of 2021, when COVID was still creating challenges. In fall of 20 and spring of 21, all of our choral rehearsals, with very few exceptions, were outside. So Russell Adrian, my colleague, hooked up he's very resourceful, welded together some lawnmower wheels and bolted an electric piano onto a frame and wheeled it outside every day to run rehearsals. We ran rehearsals outside. He really wanted to put a motor on it so he could drive it. But if you know Russell, I wouldn't put it past him. So we've had some challenges. But we continue to do a variety of programming. We continue to do masterworks occasionally. This is Haydn's Creation, which is one that was done already back in the 19-teens. And can involve students, involve community and alumni. And there continues to be a vibrant program here. One of the things I think that is the same is that we continue to provide experiences that create that Hesston experience. Those choir tours are very formative times of students getting together and forming deep friendships and relationships and seeing a wide variety of the country and getting into homes and congregations. And those are powerful experiences that we have. I have a couple of CDs that I would like to give away. I've got some trivia. The first Hesston College Bel Canto tour, this is the 40th year of Bel Canto. The first summer tour of Bel Canto was in summer of 1985. How long was the concert? Within 15 minutes. Let's see, is there any guesses?
Hour 15.
Hour 15, not long enough. Someone else? Yes? 2.5, that's close enough. It was either, you can choose here, there was actually a sacred program 1, a sacred program 2, and a secular program. And so the group did so either sacred program 1 or sacred program 2, which usually were about an hour and 45 minutes with a children's story in the middle. And then there was an alumni reception afterwards in which we did the secular part, which included a performance of P.D. Cubock's The Seasonings, which is a kind of a spoof thing, but that's about a 20-minute work. So depending on how you count it. We also had handbells on that tour. So we rang and sang at the same time. And this did not help because then people associated bel canto with bells, and it just took a while. Question number 2. How is the bel canto group most often mispronounced? Canto. There you go, bel canto. So one of the things that happens right now is, my colleague Russell is back there. What do we do before a concert?
There's no cant in bel canto.
We get together, there's no cant in bel canto. Bel canto actually means beautiful singing. And we hope that's always the case. Within 3, how many U.S. states have Hesston College tours given concerts in?
32.
Oh, very good. 34. The ones that I think are not, that we haven't, I know Alaska and Hawaii, well, those would be great. Interestingly enough, Arkansas, Connecticut, Kentucky, Maine, Massachusetts, Nevada, we've been through Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North and South Carolina, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Vermont, and West Virginia. And we've also, those are the ones we haven't performed in. And then we've also done 5, we've done Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia, and Canada. So you heard that they did an international tour to South America, which was Brazil. How many European countries has the Hesston College Choir, have the Hesston College choirs performed in? You can guess, there's only wrong answers. More than 10. 15. It's actually 16. Who said that? Yeah, right. Okay, Jean, she gets the last CD. It actually is 16, and it has been, I've gone through 20 different countries, been given concerts in 16 different countries: Austria, the Czech Republic, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Netherlands, Poland, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. And since 1980. All right, I think that's probably my time. Do you have any questions that you're just dying to ask? If you don't know, my colleague Russell is back there and he can answer them. Yes?
Where is bel canto going this year?
So, bel canto just finished a West Coast tour, and we are having an alumni group because it's the 40th year of bel canto. If you come back tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, we'll be having a bel canto and alumni program here. It'll be about an hour in length in the sanctuary tomorrow afternoon. This spring, as part of our spring break tour, Bel Canto will be headed to Virginia and Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and at various places along the way, we'll be inviting alumni to join us on some pieces. So that's kind of an exciting continuing celebration of Bel Canto. And then in May, there is an international tour that will go to the Netherlands, Germany, and Switzerland, and we are inviting alumni to go along on that, if you would like, for 2 weeks of it in the middle to end part of May. And so if you know people that might be interested in doing that, you can contact myself or Russell, and we can get you information about that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. That is wonderful. What a delight to hear that history. I just want to also thank you all for participating in the meal, but also the weekend. There's a lot of events happening. The next event that you might want to take in is some panels that are happening in the church sanctuary over the afternoon, featuring our biblical literature course, and then also featuring just kind of what has changed in Hesston and also what has stayed the same by hearing from some of our longtime employees and also some newer employees. So those will be the topics in the panels this afternoon. So you're welcome to join us for that. I also just want to introduce some folks to you so that you know where to go for help if you need anyone over the weekend, if you have questions, if you want to see a certain building, if you want to get connected with a certain student, we are here to help. Kind of the hub for information is right out here, so if you see someone that's lost or wants to find their reunion, send them to the church. We'll get them to the right place. But also to ask any of our wonderful advancement staff. So if I could have our advancement staff stand. We have Jen Lehman here, who has done a lot of coordinating with our event. Sherry Esau in the back, who's also helped a lot with coordinating. Hillary Dick, who helps us with the decor and loose ends and just fills in the cracks so well. We have our development officers, Woody Miller, Lisa Longacre in the back, and Amy Sharp here up front. So we just are so blessed to host you all this weekend. I also want to introduce our vice presidents that are here. Kayla Bloss is our CFO. We have Michael Smalley, who is our vice president of student life. Ross Peterson Beach, who is our vice president of academics. And Grant Myers, who is our Vice President of Enrollment, and I am Rachel, our Vice President of Advancement, and you already have met Joe, of course. So we are here to help, here to host, and just really here to connect with you all this weekend. So thank you so much for coming. I'd like to introduce the special alumnus for our closing prayer. We have Mary Lou Farmer, who joins us from the great state of Iowa. It's one of the best. I say that because I'm an Iowa native. But Mary Lou is going to join us and bless this time together, bless our time, and she's a part of the 15th class. Yes. Yeah, don't go anywhere after the prayer.
Please join me in prayer. Gracious God, thank you for this time today to learn more about the work of Hesston and especially the music program. Thank you for the vision and persons that first started this institution and brought it to where it is today. Bless the current administration, faculty, and staff as they continue this legacy of preparing future leaders in the church and the world. Bless each student as they make steps in their growth into who you want them to be. Thank you also for alumni and friends who help support the ministry work that happens here. We ask that you bless this weekend of celebration and each person attending. Walk with us as we renew old friendships and make new acquaintances. Give each of us listening ears and open hearts as we join together this weekend so that we may see your kingdom work in this place. With grateful hearts we pray. Amen.
we'll end by singing the school song, which I think most of you know by heart.
I would just do acapella.